Ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, welcome to our show. We have gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the multiverse, two of the nerdiest geeks to be found. We proudly present the professor and her geeky girlness herself, Ace. And now it's time. GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace.
Hey everybody, welcome to GeekyKOOL presents Professor and Ace. I'm the professor, we've got Ace down here. And of course we've got Spoo with us tonight again. Thank you, Spoo, for joining us. This is kind of a little last minute. We talked about this last week and life got crazy last week for all of us, and then it's remained crazy. So if we seem kind of out of sorts or out of breath, that's what's going on, guys. Just know we're doing this out of love for you because we want to bring this to you. And also, I had something I want to do special here at the beginning, so I want to make sure we got that in there. And we'll probably try to make it abbreviated tonight, a little shorter than usual, just to let us all go rest. But we will be back next week. I mean, we're not planning on stopping anytime soon. No. But just kind of wanted to give you guys an update of what's going on. Sorry we missed last week, and we'll be back now. Before we get going, we're going to talk about movies that other people love that we don't. And yeah, that. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, I want to talk about our friend Rachel, or Ray, she's also known, Ray. She's going through some things that she has been, and people that know her know that she's been fighting leukemia and cancer for a very long time, for years and years and years. And part of it is that she has an immune disability to where she can only have the cancer treatment so long, and then she has to rest, and then it comes back. And it's one of these things where it's this awful thing where she's either always either on chemo or radiation or something, and then she has to rest her body, let it recover, and then go back on it. So for those people that don't know, that's an expensive thing. And for a person on a budget like she is, she's on a very tight budget. She actually has, and she is a go-getter. She's always positive. She's one of my favorite people in the world. I've known her for 10 years.
She is a ray of sunshine.
She is a ray of sunshine. Her name fits her perfectly. And if Ray, if you're watching, we love you, girl. Yeah. So wanted to promote, she has something this month to help her with some of the expenses that she has with her treatments. So let me bring this up here. So she actually has a, we're going to pull that up to here, full screen. She's making magnets for $7 a piece, and I will include at the end of the video how to be able to get a hold of her and do that. Let me go over here and shrink down that. We don't need that. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, right. So she's doing magnets, $7 a piece. And these are really cool things she's doing that's inexpensive. If you've got a few bucks and you like something of this, please look at these and check the stuff down below. Contact her and get some of this stuff, because she's doing this because she wants to raise this money herself, which I just think is totally admirable. She's got those. She's got these pens for $7. She has wrist bands for $5, and I have one of these wristbands. They are pretty cool. She's doing stickers for $1. So these are things that she is selling, trying to help pay the expenses of her treatment. So, if you're interested in any of that, please see the links below. Now, the other thing we can do, and I'm going to actually, I don't have that screen shared. Okay, let me, and I'll include the link to the form, but there's also a fundraiser, and I'll include that below. If you want to just donate money, because she's such a cool person, and you're like, man, I don't need any of that. That stuff's cool, but I'd like just to give her $5, $10, $100, $1 million, whatever you can do. She's got a page, a GoFundMe page to help pay for those expenses. I will include that down below. I am donating tonight to that fund because I just want to declare it right here, not to brag. point this stuff out because I want it to be about me. It's because she's important, and I just want the world to know I am going to donate. If you can donate or if you can buy something, please do. We appreciate all the people that watch this, and this is just somebody who's in need that is a wonderful person and that can use your help.
And she is such, like I said, a ray of sunshine. I've never spoken or seen her be negative about anything going on in her life, which is just amazing. She does have the GoFundMe, but she really says that she would rather people buy these things, give her $5, she's going to give you something. It's
right.
Of owning
exactly. That's exactly right.
And that's so unique in this. And she has fought for a very long time, like you said. She continues to fight. We, as her friends and our geeky community, here's the thing: Ray is a gamer. She plays D&D. She plays video games.
She's a cosplayer.
She's a cosplayer. She's amazing at all of these things.
Yeah.
And she is not only a friend of GeekyKOOL, but she has been on some of our things. We've talked to her before.
Yep.
And it's just a really good cause, but not just a good cause. It's a good cause for a good person. And it's going directly to her. It's not going through somebody else. You don't have to worry about that. It is going directly to her to just help her with these expenses because she is on a limited budget. And and she is struggling. As all of us know, you struggle when you have medical bills. So just imagine multiplying that by years of medical bills.
Right. That's exactly right. Well, and she had one of her friends and my friends that was an older gentleman who was just a wonderful guy. Ray calls him Grandpa because he really kind of took her under his wings. He challenged her years ago because of all of the negative stuff in life to every night post something out that's positive on Facebook. And she has done this faithfully. She'll miss a night here or there because of her treatments or something like that. But that is just amazing that she's grabbed a hold of that to keep positive, because if any of us had gone through half the stuff she has, it would be hard to be positive at all. And she just stays that way. She's amazing. So anyway, I wanted to point those things out. Those will be in the bottom of the video. Please, please, please look at buying something. Look at donating if you can. If you can't, we all understand that. We've all been there. But if you can, if you've got some spare to go around and you need a good cause, this is the perfect place. And if you're a millionaire watching, just go ahead and take care of it all.
Also, if you can't donate or you can't buy anything, if you can't do that, here's the thing with these types of situations. Share it.
Yes.
Share it with your friends, because that you don't know out of your friends who might be in a position to help a little bit more. And so we encourage all of our watchers and everyone, all of the GeekyKOOL family to share that just to help get the message out there, because we all are from all kinds of different places and we all have a huge friends list from just cons alone. And so if we can do that for her, that would be great.
Right on. Okay. Now that's out of the way, and we did that because I really felt like I just really want to share this a little bit more, because we shared it on Facebook on our KOOL post. I shared it on mine. Wanted to try to get it out just a little bit further out there, because she is doing this all month, and I just think it's admirable, the whole idea that I'm going to make these things and I'm going to sell these things to help pay for my expenses. That's how she's looking at it. And that is such a great way to go. And do we need to have discussions nationally about how to fix some of the stuff so people don't have to do that? Sure. But we are where we are right now, and we'll have to
listen. There are discussions that need to be made and had in this country about people like Ray who are needing help. But until those discussions are made and had by the people in power, then the people who are not in power, we have to do what we can to take care of.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay. All right. Now to the less important, but maybe more fun stuff. We're going to talk about what?
I said, what do you mean less important?
Well, you know, that's important than somebody's medical expenses and stuff like that.
I know.
They're not as heavy weighted, but very important to us geeks and nerds and everything else, because we like to talk about these sort of things. And this is kind of the reverse of last week. These are the things that others really like. And I hesitated to say they're good, because some of them I don't know are good, and I would fight you on some of them.
Objectively, the fact that we don't like them means that they're not good, but they're just universally liked by most people.
Right.
Universally known and on list of, like, you know, if you go through these websites that have like list of the 100 best movies ever, some of these are on those lists.
Yeah. Well, and I've noticed that some of your
I mainly based mine off of, like, when they came out, everybody, these are the movies that people would just not shut up about.
Right.
And I couldn't stand it.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. So that's what we're going to go with tonight, guys. So be prepared. Feel free to disagree with us in the comments. Feel free to tell us your list. Feel free to tell us why we're wrong. And if you are watching this post live, then feel free to add those comments or go into GeekyKOOL and leave comments there, because we're always happy to hear that. Just know that we do love geek stuff. We may be bashing a thing here or there that you love, and it's not that we think you're bad for liking it. It's just that we don't personally like it. So.
The thing is movies, books, art, they're all subjective to who is watching them. They are all based on your opinion, and people. Larry, you love noir movies. I do
love noir movies.
I know people who won't watch a black and white movie because it's not color. So there's nothing wrong with that. It's just we prefer certain movies, just like you do. So we're just
nothing wrong with that. Some people are just wrong.
I was waiting for you to say that. I so was waiting.
That's hilarious. I'll be right back, guys.
All right, very good. So we won't start with AJ then. We'll actually, Shmoo, give me one that's on your list.
I'm actually going to start at the end of my list and kind of work somewhat, bounce around a little bit, so bear with me here. But my number one, not one, but first up on my list, I guess. This is a movie that, like, growing up, I was familiar with. But, you know, you would hear about it every once in a while. There's that one famous scene from it toward the end that's kind of always been a popular meme before there were memes. And then it seems like in the last 15, 20 years, like, especially in like your rap community, it seems like it's extremely popular. And it is one of the most boring movies I have ever seen in my life. Say hello to my little friend, Scarface. Absolutely hate Scarface.
Which is interesting, because it is, you know, it's a different type of mobster movie.
Yeah.
But
it is just so boring. Like, that one scene, okay, sure, the big shoot up scene at the end, whatever.
Right.
Sure, that there's a couple of minutes of some entertaining violence going on there. Beyond that, it is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my life.
You know, and that didn't pop into my mind, but I get that, because I remember when I watched that, I thought it's a little slow for a mobster movie. You know, a mafia movie, I'm usually used to something more, a little more intrigue, and the ending is really cool.
It's like, and this will tie into one of AJ's movies as well, but like just scenes upon scenes upon scenes of people just talking about crap that I have no interest in.
Right?
It's just so, God. I've it took me probably like about the time that it started popping up and becoming popular again, which I would say was probably late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in that ballpark. I had seen it when I was very young, and I couldn't remember anything about it, so I went back to watch it again, and it took me 3 tries to even get through it because I kept falling asleep. I don't fall asleep during movies.
Oh, he doesn't.
Like I am the movie guy. Like I could watch the worst movies in the world and love them because of how bad they are. But like, I couldn't get through it. It just bored me to sleep, literally to sleep.
So I always feel like a good movie, even if it's serious and it's drama and it has like very slow moments, it should have like it should be a roller coaster. You should have highs and lows.
I mean,
and this one is like starts here, and then it goes down, and then it just flatlines for a really long.
You can have a movie. You can have a movie or a show or whatever that is, no action, no comedy, no, just straight drama. Okay, so take like a period piece or something. It just so, but you can still like where the movie is just it's all, just people talking, like just all exposition, no nothing else, and you can still make that interesting. You can have multiple angles of shots. The way the even just the angle that you shoot something at can make it visually interesting, but it's just locked shots. That you might get like person to person coverage, but there's just nothing interesting happen. It's just long, straight, locked, boring shots of people talking, and no.
And here's also like with movies like that, if they're gonna do that, then make the background really interesting. Make the clothes really interesting. Like
there's a lot of white walls in that movie.
Yeah. Do something that some of my favorite movies are not my favorite. Like some of my favorite things about movies are the sets and the things that are put in there. And this one just doesn't have anything that excites you in it. Like, I love a scene where there's like a green wall and there's like cracks in it. If the movie is like showcasing something in a personality and stuff like that, like those things make you connect. This one just like, here's a room.
It's just, and then they just lock the camera down. A locked shot is just where they set the camera on a tripod and they just film. Yeah. So you've got typically your wide angle where you've got like everybody that's in the scene on one shot. Person to person coverage is where they cut into close-ups of whoever's talking or like the occasional reaction shot, and it goes back and forth. That's the movie. There's no interesting angles. There's no whatever. And that's not the only reason. It just all of it. Just his accent was over the top, and it annoys me. The subject matter is not anything I'm really all that interested in. Just it was so. It's weird to say that a movie was boring and over the top at the same time, but it is, and. It just, I don't know. I can't say that there's any one thing specifically about it that I didn't like. It just bored the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And I mean, even where, the scenes where exciting stuff is happening, which, okay, that's kind of sprinkled throughout, but like, it just, by the time it got to those scenes, I just didn't care anymore because I just was not invested at all.
I can see that. Yeah. And it's been since the mid to late 80s since I've seen it. So it's one of those where I watched it and I figured eventually I'd go back and rewatch it and probably like it better because I probably had more, but maybe not. So
a few of these, or at least one or two of them, maybe. Now that there have been multiple decades on some of them that have gone by since I've seen them, I can't say I'm really like interested in doing so, but I would be willing to give another watch to see if my perspective has changed or my opinion.
Right.
But I mean, like I said, it took me 3 tries to even get through that one. So when I did go through it, so not exactly very high on that list. But
I get that. All right. Well, AJ, what's one that's on your list you want to talk about?
So I'm not gonna put a movie out there on this one. I'm gonna put a person out there.
Okay.
Anything by Woody Allen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone who is known as one of the greatest. This is not a personality thing or a person thing, because I have my own issues with Woody Allen as a person. This is literally the art that he creates.
Right.
I do not like it. I understand it. People will be like, oh, well, you don't understand it. You must not understand it. I understand it. I understand the humor. I don't find the humor funny.
Right.
One. The actors that he works with are amazing actors and actresses. They are wonderful, and they take what he gives them and make decent things out of it. But he gives them this, it's the same story over again. And it's to the point that it's redundant. If you've seen, I say this, and this is not for all of them, but if you've seen one Woody Allen movie, you've seen like 80 of them.
Right.
And I want something new and exciting from one of America's best filmmakers. Like, he's on list as one of America's best filmmakers ever. Like, give me something other than, a New York tale where an old man or middle-aged man falls in love with a young girl. And if you go into, I'm not going into all of it, but just go into his marriage, it's creepy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not going into the speculation of, what he did with other children and that sort of thing. Just his marriage. And then you go back, and if you watch these movies, it is creepy. And it's not, and these movies are claimed to be like, oh, well, he took them and his direction was great. Now, cinematically, some of his scenes are beautifully set up. I will give him that.
Yeah.
But it's the same story over and over again.
Like, when it comes to Woody Allen films, like, I don't like or dislike them. I kind of nothing them. But, like,
Worse than like or dislike. I'm just saying, I'm just putting that there.
I just nothing them. But the one thing that I can say as a positive towards Woody Allen films is, like, if you took those movies exactly as they are, remove them from the screen and slap them up on a stage, I feel like that would change the entire experience and actually make it pleasant to watch.
Yeah.
I can see that. Well, because I was a theater nerd. And,
same here.
Yeah, I know. So, I had friends of mine. They're like, "Oh, this here, these are great movies. You got to see Annie Hall, and how great would this be on the theater screen?" And I'm like, I went in, and I'm like, I'm just bored to tears.
And that's the thing. It's not written and directed for a movie. It's not.
Right,
and
right.
You because it's not.
It is a play that someone decided to put on film, and some plays just don't work like that.
Well, and he did it like 80 times, the same play.
Yeah, the same play.
Well, his neurotic character just drives me crazy. I'm like, just stop.
That's the other thing. Like, I wish, this is going to sound terrible, he's not a good actor.
Right.
So I wish he would take himself out of his movies more.
Right.
I think him being in the movies actually lessen what his impact in movies could have been.
Right.
Makes sense. Like, he puts on in these movies with huge, massive talents.
Yeah.
And puts himself in there, and it brings the whole thing down because he's not a good actor. He plays himself in every single
movie. Right.
And don't do that. Like, literally, don't do that. Like, you have money, you get all these famous people. Just, if you want to be a filmmaker, be a film. And not saying that actors can't be filmmakers, but not all filmmakers can be actors.
Yes. Yes.
Like, just saying. If you're really good at one thing, like his shots are really pretty a lot of the times, or they're set up in a really unique way. And I like his shots. Directing, I don't have a problem with him. Scripts, screenplay, I don't necessarily like, and I hate his acting, and he puts it in there, and I just can't do it. So there's not one movie. There's like, I don't know how many he's made, but there's a lot.
Right.
I've got one on my list that's not just one movie as well.
All right. Well, and I've got a couple that kind of go together, but they're not. But anyway, so I'm going to start there actually and give you the first one of my duo. And for people that have watched this before or have seen my discussions, or especially people that have watched Titans of the Fantastic, you know, I just don't understand it. There was the big push to save the Snyder universe, but I'm sorry, I don't want this Superman.
Oh,
I don't like this Superman. I don't like this Clark Kent.
I'm one of the ones that I'm actually on board with this movie.
And that's okay. I
like it.
I don't like.
I don't love it.
Kent.
Don't get me wrong. I don't love it. There's definitely miles and miles of room for improvement, but I don't hate it as much as everybody else does.
No, and a lot of people love this, especially in the geek community, and I think it's a love or hate. And I really liked the new Justice League Snyder version. Great. But
I didn't like
this, and I understand this was trying to build somewhere.
Yeah,
but
I didn't like Mopey Superman. I didn't like Mopey Superman, and I didn't. Of course, I don't know of anybody that liked the big, like, let's destroy all of Metropolis by fighting scene.
Well, and that one's on the list also. And we can hit both together there. But so Superman for me is supposed to be pretty much it's supposed to be Christopher Reeves. But Superman for me is a certain ideal, and you have this kind of emo, mopey Clark Kent that's going to find himself. And then you've got Pa Kent saying, "Don't save me from the tornado."
Well, there's one line.
What the hell is that?
There is one line of dialogue in that movie that turned my stomach. Speaking of Pa Kent, and that's where, like, after he saved the bus, and he's like, "What was I supposed to do? Just let them die?" And Pa Kent goes, "Maybe."
Yeah, that's not Pa Kent. No, that is not who these characters have ever been in the comics. What in the world?
No.
These guys are apple pie in America way, and this makes Clark Kent want to be the hero.
He's always known as the big blue Boy Scout, and the reason why he's known as that is because he was raised to be the best person he could be.
Yes,
by the Kents.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the Kents are they're literally his guide for
yes, yes.
Like my kids always tell me, like, I'm the voice they hear. Even the ones I didn't raise, they're like, you're the voice I hear when I'm making a decision. Is Mom gonna like this decision? And that's what the kids were to him. Yeah, so I do agree with you, Shpoo, on that, because that was like I've only seen this movie once because I didn't like it.
Yes,
but I didn't hate it. I just didn't like it. I don't want that I'm going to go back to it.
And I'm not. I didn't say I hated it. There's some cool parts in it, and the fight with Zod is cool, even though I've got some problems with that. The other thing I've got a really big problem with. So you're telling me that a spacecraft landed on the Earth 2,000 years ago, and then you have technology from today's Krypton that somehow gets to you, and you go and you can use it. So it doesn't have any impact. We can't have a computer. Computers go out of date in 3 years. And you're going to the ship and you're making it do this, and then that's how you kind of discover your... What? And this is an advanced society. That's not true. There's no way that works. And then, of course, you've got the problem with Zod, the laser vision, which used to be heat vision. Because he can't turn his head.
You're saying that the computer tech makes no sense, but like, how much sense does it make to take a green crystal and throw it in the ground, and then a big castle comes out of it and plays movies that are interactive holograms?
I completely agree. And the only reason that worked for me so well is because I was 9.
Yeah,
or whatever age I was. No, I'm with you. 100% agree. Well, but at least they got the character of Superman right.
Yeah.
And I get it, and I knew that it was supposed to be this process to show his growth, but I just didn't like this movie. I did not like my Superman that way, which is why, and I'll just jump into the second one here. This is why this movie doesn't work for me, because this movie is old grumpy Batman versus Batman that's not quite as grumpy, but almost with superpowers.
Right.
There's no difference in their personality. It's no Boy Scout versus the Dark Knight. It's 2 Dark Knights, but one of them's got superpowers.
It's really disappointing. This movie was really disappointing for me. Not that I'm a huge, because you guys all know, and there's no secrets. Batman and Superman are not my favorites.
Right.
But the idea of Batman versus Superman is such a, like, it could have been such a good movie, but they somehow made Superman more Batman than Batman.
I don't know about that, but no. I mean, definitely that whole savior scene at the beginning where he's saving people, but looks like it's the most depressing thing that he's ever had to do. Like, I don't know. And I mean, and I understand trying to put it to where, like, you know, this is what it would kind of be like if Superman was real in the world today, to where people are kind of against him and people, you know, want to question him and whatever and blah, 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 blah. Okay, sure. I get what you're going for there. And I can definitely say that the Ultimate Edition or whatever it was called, the Blu-ray version that had like 30 extra minutes.
Yeah.
Way better.
No, it is, but it still didn't do it for me.
Way better.
People are like, well, but did you see this special edition? Like, yes, I still.
It answered so many of the plot holes.
But that's like a problem.
Yes, it is.
And the movie studio is a lot of the fault for the cluster that this is. I mean, I get that. Keith mentions that every time I talk about this movie, but I get that is. But the movie
you take the movie Superman from Man of Steel and amp it up by like 50.
Yes,
and that's what it was. So that's the problem that I had with it. But like,
yes,
the positive that I'll say about that movie, fight me, Ben Affleck, best Batman that's been on screen ever. Fight me. Most comic book accurate, I will say.
It depends on the generation of the comic book. But anyway, I'm a Michael Keaton guy. 100%.
I love Michael Keaton, don't get me wrong. But I'm saying, as far as like Bruce Wayne, Batman, like showing the full spectrum of like what that character is like.
Here's the thing with
they got it closer to right than anyone else has so far.
Actors who play Batman, they either pick actors who make decent Bruce Waynes and
terrible Batmans, or good Batmans and terrible Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, right.
It's Ben Affleck, decent Bruce Wayne, decent Batman. Michael Keaton, decent Bruce Wayne, decent Batman.
To clarify what I mean by best representation is every Batman that we've ever seen on screen has always shown like, okay, so you might see Bruce being the playboy, and you might see Batman fighting bad guys and having the gadgets and all of that stuff. This is the first time we've really seen the detective work. This is got gnats flying around. This is the first time where we've really seen the biggest thing that I loved about it. The thing about Batman that the movies always get wrong is Bruce Wayne is the mask.
Yeah.
Batman is not the mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne is Batman. He puts on a costume when he takes the mask off.
Batman is,
and this was the first time where we really seen like him to see him actually do that. Like even with Keaton, it was like when he was just Batman, or when he was Bruce rather, he would talk to people and he would be normal and whatever. Versus Ben Affleck, you would see him still pissed off and still very brooding and whatever. But then he goes to the party and suddenly he's this charming, guy doing all this stuff and whatever.
It's
like
public.
It's things like that.
See, and I think, in my view, which feel free to disagree. In my view, Keaton did that in '89. He's the detective, he solves the riddle of what's causing all the chemicals that are causing people to become Joker-like.
But we don't really get to see it. He just shows up with a list.
Well, you see him at the computer working on that. You see him on the computer working on it. You also see him going into that whole Batman thing and trying to be that mask at the party. So I understand where you're going, and maybe he did it better. But yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. I feel like this version of Batman is more geared to the old crumpety Batman from Batman Beyond.
It's very Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, it is.
But don't get me wrong, Keaton's still my favorite Batman. I just think that the Bruce or the Ben Affleck Batman was more comic accurate, or at least we got to see more of the things that are comic accurate.
Sure. I guess well, and especially when you're looking at from like the Dark Knight Returns and Batman Year One. And I get that but if you look at the 70s and other than those things in the 80s, I felt like Keaton was probably a pretty accurate version of Batman. But that's okay. We can disagree on that, and that's all okay.
Well, I'm just saying I don't disagree.
The only thing I liked about Batman versus Superman was Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I thought her introduction in here was awesome.
Yeah.
Like Wonder Woman shows up on your screen and you're like, now the party started.
Right.
And then it's like, okay.
Only problem I had with that was that Bruce Wayne's been talking to her through the whole movie, and then suddenly she shows up and Superman's like, who's that? And Bruce is like, I don't know. I thought she was with you.
Right.
You know who she is. You've been talking to her for weeks now.
Well, she put on the outfit and he didn't recognize her. Just like with Superman, right? So there you go. He didn't realize she had powers. So I was like, I don't know who she is. So now, and the thing about her that I loved was there's the scene where they find out they're fighting Doomsday, which, by the way, is another big problem with this movie. But she's just like, oh yeah, bring it on.
Oh, the part where he like smacks her down and she looks up like, oh,
smiles.
All right.
Yeah, that I love because I'm like, well,
that shot
may have screwed up Batman and Superman, but Wonder Woman you got right. So.
And this was the first peak of a cinematic Wonder Woman.
Yes.
Time. Other than what I mean,
the 70s, since the 70s, right?
Well, because let's face it, the three of us were babies in the 70s.
Yes, but I watched the Wonder Woman series because I'm a little older than both of you, and I loved her. She was one of my first crushes.
Watching that show, so
it wasn't on the big screen. I mean, they had the one movie. It wasn't.
I was going to say the one movie, but I didn't know if that went to the screen or if it was just a TV
I don't know
movie.
Either.
So anyway. And then they also had one before Linda Carter with I can't think of her name now, but yeah. Anyway,
where's that awesome pilot where they tried to revive from like early 2000s or late 99 or whenever that was? Which have you ever seen that?
I have.
Oh, it's terrible. Oh God, it's terrible.
But I would have been happy with anything at that point. But so Wonder Woman saved the movie for me, so I don't absolutely hate it, but I don't understand the love for this movie. And people were hashtagging Save the Snyderverse and all that. And at this point, I'm like, why would I want to save Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman? Now, again, I really like the end product of Justice League. It sort of paid off some of this stuff, but anyway, those were my issues with those two. And again, Keith's probably rolling his eyes if he's watching because he just knows. He's like,
here's a statement that'll really get under people's skin. I even kind of like Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. But there's a caveat here. The problem with it is the reasoning behind his character was never explained on screen.
Right.
He was like that on purpose. Like the whole neurotic, weird, whatever thing. He was like that on purpose. They just never explained it on screen. But when you understand what that reasoning was, I don't say I like it. Well, okay, I said I kind of liked it. Let me scratch that. I appreciate, I should say. I don't like it at all. But I understand it, I guess I should say.
But you only understand it because you did the research and you learned afterwards.
And that's a problem. Movies that movies that you have to like go into other material to find the answers to.
If I have to go onto Twitter to understand your movie, I'm not like that.
See my multiple videos on why I hated Avengers Endgame. That should have been on my list.
It should have been because I love that movie, but I understand why you guys disliked it.
I take it back. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed watching it. I had fun watching it, but oh my god, it drove me insane.
Well, it didn't drive him insane. The first time he watched it, he just appreciated what he was watching, and then he watched it a second time, and he was like,
well, it was more like we walked out of it, and I was like, yeah, it was good. And then the more conversation we had about it, I'm like, I'm not so much liking this movie. I'm just getting more and more mad.
Don't you hate when you talk yourself out of it? I think that's what I felt like when I saw Star Wars Phantom Menace.
It's 7, 8, 4, 9, or 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah, I went and watched it and went, oh yeah, that was awesome. Went back and watched it again and went, no, okay, not as awesome as I thought, but still, it's Star Wars. And then, Anyway, but all right. So what's the next one on your list, Spoo?
Okay, so I'm actually going to squash two of them together that make no sense to me together because I have 6 on my list, and we typically try to do these at 5. These movies actually have absolutely nothing in common other than the fact that they are 2 out of 3 movies that I wanted to actually walk out of the theater on because I hated them that much. 2 of the 4 movies, actually. One of the other 2 is still on my list, but it's its own thing. And the 4th one was just a movie that was just really, really bad. That being The Hills Have Eyes 2, which I feel is a title that's too short. It should have been called the sci-fi original picture of The Hills Have Eyes 2. But anyway, those movies are 12 Monkeys and The Birdcage.
And I don't know you can get movies any
more different than that.
I'm trying to find the link there. Okay, well, let's start with the 12 Monkeys and tell us what you didn't like about this movie.
With 12 Monkeys, it was a combination of about 2 different things. Number one, the movie was okay. I have this. Anybody that knows me knows about this, but I have a curse, blessing. I don't know what you want to call it. It's more of a curse, where I can watch a very small portion of just about anything, and I can tell you this is how it's going to end.
Right.
I saw literally the opening scene. Where he's running through the airport and gets shot and all of that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, there's the end right there. And I called it 100% within the first scene. Like, we haven't even gotten into the plot yet. And I already said, okay, there's a twist right there, and called it to a T. The other big thing that I hated about it, well, like everybody, and I mean everybody, the picture that you're looking at on screen right there, raved about how great Brad Pitt's performance was. And oh dear God, he annoyed. Usually I love Brad Pitt. I think he's a great actor. He annoyed the crap out of me in this movie. And I'm like, this is what a drunk person would act like if you told them to act like a crazy person. And everybody was like, oh, he went and actually, like, studied people in real asylums and stuff. Have you ever seen an asylum? People do not act like that in asylums. It felt like a parody, and it was bad, and I didn't like it at all.
All right.
And I stepped down from my soapbox.
So what did you hate about Birdcage?
I don't know. I honestly, I really don't. I just know I just didn't find it funny. Like it. Please allow me to clarify here. I have no problem with homosexuals, none whatsoever. So that was not it. That was not the problem with it. There was a portion of it that kind of like 12 Monkeys. This will actually be the linking thing between the two of them. Is it felt so over the top that it felt like a cliche parody.
Right. Okay.
Which it kind of was, I think, meant to be.
It was. And the funny thing is, like, I know people that are like that for real. And,
right.
But it just, I don't know. It was so over the top that it went past funny for me and just went to, it made it feel more like, this is what people do when they're making fun of gay people.
Mm.
And that's what the whole movie felt like for me. And it just bugged me. I just didn't like it. It made me that part of it made me uncomfortable.
It's like it took a stereotype that you could and
it felt like it took the stereotype, amped up the stereotype to about 50,
right,
and then ran with that.
Right.
Which I don't hate that movie. I love Robin Williams, so
I do too.
Like,
absolutely.
Is this my favorite Robin Williams movie? No, it's not even in my top 10.
Right.
And I love Nathan Lane too. And
right.
And what's his name? Hank
Azaria.
Hank Azaria, thank you. All of those guys. Love them. Love them all. The cast was wonderful.
Here's what I think. And when I watch this movie, I have to compare it to another movie about drag queens. And that is Tu Wong Fu.
I love that movie. Love that movie.
Because it's not the stereotype. It shows that drag queens they
have personalities, different personalities.
And some of them are top and some of them are not.
Right.
And I understand why you have, why that bothered you. One, if you guys don't know this about Shmoo, he hates stereotypes. He hates that like cliche. He doesn't want
cliche.
Yeah. So I get that. And it's a very cliche movie. I still found it entertaining and I didn't hate it. So
that out of all of the ones on my list, also I should point out here, I saw The Birdcage in the theater when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
At the time it came out, I had seen the trailers and stuff, thought, oh my God, this looks hilarious. I go to see it. And then, it was just, like I said, it was so over the top that it felt like insulting.
Mm-hmm.
And it rubbed me the wrong way. And I haven't seen it since. So out of all the movies on my list that I would, this is the one that I would genuinely love to go back and give another shot to. Because it is entirely possible that
I like it now.
That I might like it now, because I actually now I didn't at the time, but now I know I could probably rattle off 6 or 7 people that I know personally and I'm good friends with now that are perhaps even more over the top than they were in that movie. So, so now that out of all of them, that's the one I would genuinely like to watch.
And I would say I've got a friend who's straight, been married for 30 years, and very much at that same level. You're like,
really?
And everybody that I talk to, like, is he gay? No, he's not gay. Yeah. He's and so like, okay, it's like that's just his personality. So but it's an interesting thing. Back to the 12 Monkeys. I like the 12 Monkeys. Now I can see exactly what you're saying with that. And at that time, I was working in the mental health field. So I've been in asylums, and I've been many places and seen many people that were actively seeing things, hearing things that weren't there. Schizophrenia, multiple personality, and just you name the list. I've had an antisocial, which is basically a psychopath. Yeah, I have one of those in my caseload. Not a good thing to do. But I enjoyed the movie because I was trying to figure out how real it was versus how much it was all in his head, and so I was trying to figure that out from the beginning. But yeah, so I liked it, but I get it. So all right, very good. AJ, what's next on your list?
Okay, so I'm going to jump to a classic that it's on so many top 100, top 50 movies, and I get it, but it's The Graduate.
Yeah. Dustin Hoffman.
Here's my problem, and I think it's the same problem I have with a lot of the Woody Allen movies. It's cringy.
Yeah.
It's just cringy. I think that's the problem I'm having with these, is that they're just cringy. And, you know, as a mom who has a grown son, no.
There is one part of The Graduate that I genuinely love, and I love it for two reasons. Okay. And that is the very final shot of the movie. So, like, they run away together, they get on the bus, they sit down, they're all happy, they look at each other lovingly, and then they both just kind of turn, and this look comes over their face like, oh, God, what have we just done?
Yeah. Right.
I love that for two reasons. Number one, because it does end with the realization of this is doomed to fail, and we both have made the biggest mistake of our lives just now. And two, because that shot was a total accident. No one yelled cut. So they just kind of went into a blank stare waiting for someone to yell cut. And that's why that shot is in the movie.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
Way. It was just written for them to ride off into the sunset, happy and excited. But yeah, no one yelled cut.
Listen, I don't have a problem with, I really don't have a problem with, like, age gaps in relationships. I have a problem with parental type people trying to seduce, like, I can't. And I've watched this movie and I get it. I get why people love it. I get why it is considered a good movie. I get that. The story, I just can't with the story. I can't. And I don't think I ever will. It's just one of those things that when I say it's cringeworthy, it causes me anxiety sometimes. Some of these movies cause me anxiety because they're just wrong. They're just wrong. I mean, here's the thing. If this would have been an older guy, and this is what made The Graduate unique, and I understand this because we have seen movies, Woody Allen movies, for instance, we have seen movies where older men get with younger women and seduce them, and
it's creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy. But this was one of the first times that you'd seen that. Harold and Maude was another one that you saw. Mm-hmm. You know, it's just cringy to me. Yeah. And the acting is well done. It's directed beautifully. It has some great cinematic moments. I just cannot take the story. So
yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things I'm just like, oh, you watch it, and I've tried to watch it, and I keep trying to watch it, and now I can't. No.
That's another one I don't really love or hate. I just kind of nothing. It's a movie.
I I feel like nothing is worse than Love and Hate. I really do.
I don't nothing this one. I don't really have an opinion. It was just like, yeah, it's a movie.
It's a movie. I feel like indifference is worse than.
It definitely can be. Yeah.
So what's your one, Professor?
All right. So let's go with one of the greatest directors of our time in Steven Spielberg.
Hey.
And a movie that just acclaimed, especially when it came out. People raved about it. I just thought it was just outright boring. Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Okay.
I mean,
the whole potato thing is kind of cool, making the tower.
Right.
But where's the payout in this movie?
That just makes me want to watch UHF.
Yes.
This means something. It's important.
Oh my God.
And I love Steven Spielberg, and I love space movies. I love thinking space movies. That
is one of those that I wouldn't have thought of because I rarely think of this movie.
Right.
And that should tell you a lot. I don't dislike it, I guess, but you're right. It is very slow.
Well,
yeah.
It's very slow to build up. That's not as.
And it's another one of those
movie
that the biggest problem with it for me is it builds up to an ending that once you stop and think about that ending for more than 5 seconds, you realize, oh wow, that's horrible.
Yeah.
They brought everybody back. That's great. They've all been gone for years and years and years. They don't exist anymore, so they're all screwed. Right.
It's one of those movies, the build up, you expect way more than what you get.
Yes, that's exactly it. My expectations were high. I'm I'm sitting through this. It's going to pay off.
Right, because it's such a slow build up. It's such a slow build up. You're thinking something massive is going to happen, and then it's a slow end.
Yeah.
It's all uphill, and then it just plateaus.
It does. Just like the mountain. It's all plateau right there.
Yeah. Maybe it was on purpose. Maybe it does mean something. It's important to the plot.
Means we're going to take you on this ride uphill, and then we're just going
to leave you there.
Yeah. And give you some potatoes.
Yeah.
Mashed potatoes for everybody. Now that would be entertaining. Watching this movie and having it at a place that serves food and being able to do mashed potato things your plate while watching it, that makes it a lot better.
Or just have a mashed potato sculpting contest while you're watching.
Yes, yes, because you're not really missing anything going on in the movie. So
every 10 minutes, I know it's okay, they're still there.
Yeah. Just go watch UHF instead.
I'm always in favor of UHF.
I'm down for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Weird Al is awesome in that. So yeah, that movie's awesome.
Oh goodness.
Badgers. We don't need no stinking badgers.
Lesbian Nazi hookers abducted by UFOs and forced into weight loss programs. All this week on Town Talk.
Timmy, you lucky boy. You get a drink from the fire hose.
Oh my God.
Anyway, all right.
True. What's your next one?
So my next one, and I'm assuming that you and I both are saving the one we have in common for last.
Oh, it's my number one.
Because it was massive when it came out. Yeah. So then my next one is not a movie per se, but an entire franchise.
Yay!
And even all of its subsequent sub-franchises.
Which is hard to
do.
The
entire Conjuring universe. Dear God, some of the worst movies I have ever seen. And for people to say that The Conjuring was the best horror film to come out in decades or whatever it was they said, need to be drug out into a street and flogged.
So Spoo doesn't share the view that it's okay to like these movies. You should be flogged if you do.
One, horror movies should never be that clean looking. That was my number one problem with it. Is like you're using these like horror. Like I've always said that the best horror film ever made. A lot of people say it's The Exorcist, and yeah, that's up there. But like I would say that the best horror film ever made is the original Tobe Hooper Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Because it looks like.
And that is such a cheesy movie when you go back and watch it. The acting is terrible, all of that. But the film is so grainy that it makes part of your brain say, this is real.
It's real. Yeah.
You watch The Conjuring, and it's filmed with like the most high-end, high-definition cameras out there on the market today. It's so clean looking that like any practical effect that they put on screen looks like makeup. It doesn't look like somebody's possessed or whatever. It just looks like bad makeup. Any CGI creature that comes out looks like a CGI creature. It was terrible.
It's where, and we've talked about this in our discussion last time about bad movies we loved, and the reason we love them is these practical effects, and this is one of those movie franchises and movies that where the technology that we have is not friends with the movie they want to make.
Well, and like with the first Conjuring movie, like the scariest scene, the scariest scene in the movie was the trailer. Like the whole scene was the trailer for the movie.
Hey, they have to put the scary.
You just gave away the best scene in the trailer.
That happens a lot, though.
It does. It does.
And the fact that you could release a trailer that is the scary scene in the movie, the whole movie. It was so stupid.
I'm like, I love some horror movies. I'm not as big of a horror fan as Shboo, of course, but I don't know very many people who are. Maybe Brittany and Shboo, I think, might be like tied with this, but no, they're just like, I wasn't scared. I do get scared at horror movies. I'm not like Tim Church horror movies, but Shboo, I jump at the jump scares. I like, but this one,
the one jump scare that was in the movie that didn't even have anything to do with the ghost.
Yeah, it was like, but I didn't with this one because it's like it wasn't. Yeah, so I agree with you.
It was just, I was so excited for that movie. I saw the trailers and I'm like, oh my god, it's a movie about Ed and Lorraine Warren. I'm there. And like I was vaguely familiar with the case that it was about. I was familiar with the Annabelle case beforehand, and then I saw the doll on screen and was like, what the hell is that? I mean, I'm used to seeing this Raggedy Ann doll, and here's this creepy whatever. But then I saw The Conjuring in the theater, and when I left there, I was furious at how bad it was. And then I saw the second one. I waited until it came. I also saw the second one in the theater, but somebody else paid for it, and that's the only reason I went, because I was like, hell no. But I liked the second one more than the first one, which I know that's backwards for most people.
Yeah.
I still didn't like the second one at all, but I thought it was better than the first one. Haven't seen the newest one that came out. And, oh, God, I got literally dragged to see The Nun in theaters. And, the whole movie just made me wish that I had hair so I could rip it out. It was so bad, does not even begin to describe how dumb and horrible that movie is.
So you like none of that?
Yeah. Bravo, sir. Bravo.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yes, I don't care what anyone says. The Conjuring franchise are some of the worst movies, let alone worst horror movies, that I've ever seen. And I am a person who loves terrible movies. So that should tell you something.
Did you, talking about horror movies, just to kind of get off the subject for a sec, Did you see the trailer for that There's Someone Inside Your House?
No.
It's up on GeekyKOOL. It's a Netflix series or Netflix movie based off a book, but it's basically, it goes back to the whole teen, it's based in the high school, and people have secrets, and whoever's killing all these teens knows their secrets. And I'm like, oh, okay. That's been done over and over and over again, but
it works.
Usually but it works, exactly.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But I saw the trailer and went, you know what? I'll probably watch that when it gets to be Halloween time, because
I'll check that out.
A good.
I gotta say, like, the stuff that Netflix puts out is more often than not.
Yeah.
Is usually pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with that. So, anyway, sorry to sidetrack us there. I just wanted to see if you'd seen that. You can check it out.
I'll check that out.
So, yeah. All right. AJ, what do you got next?
Another one that everyone loves. And it goes back to, like, Spoo's issues with Scarface. And this is my issues with this. I don't like mob movies anyway.
That'll do it, yeah.
Not that I don't. I actually like Scarface a little bit more than.
Really?
Not number one, but number two. Or not number two, but number one. But it's still the issue, and it's the Godfather movies. And I know it's a girl thing. I really do, because every guy I talk to, they either really love it or they're like, oh no, it's not a bad movie. And almost like a lot of the girls I talk to are like, no, and I get it, and I understand it, and the acting is brilliant, and all of this stuff, but it's so cliche. It's so.
But didn't it write the cliche?
It
didn't
did.
It create the
I don't think it did.
Well, I mean, with that one, that's another one of those, like, kind of behind the scenes things that makes some of it more interesting. Like, I will agree. I don't hate it by any means. It was okay. It was all right. Here's actually what's more funny is, like, the fact that I am such a big movie guy. I didn't see The Godfather. I watched The Godfather for the first time about 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
I have never finished the second one, which from what, of course, everybody says is 1,000 times better than the first one.
Yes.
I started it, but never finished it. Actually, I own it,
right?
But I've just never sat down and watched it. I mean, it's like a 3.5 hour long movie or something like that. But
and the first one's like what, 4.5 or something. It's
something
long.
like that.
I think that might be a part of it. Like,
but I enjoyed it. But it's another one of those kind of like behind the scenes things, because they actually had like real life mob guys, like, helping them.
And that,
like, this is how this would be, and all this stuff.
That's why they didn't create the cliche. I will argue with anybody on this. Mob cliche in movies was created way before The Godfather. James Cagney did.
You're right with that.
Right.
Way. He created those cliches.
But this was.
But I'm just saying.
I would say the Cagney movies, mostly, because I love the Cagney movies also, because I'm a mobster movie guy, and I admit that, and I do love The Godfather. And so I'm the guy you were just talking about, what one of us thinks it's okay, it's not that bad, the other one thinks it's great. Right. And that's okay. But Cagney's were more focused on the individual. These are really about the family. And that's what I find fascinating in them, is that it's really the family.
And I get that. And I understand that they are done with accurate things, like Shmoo was saying. I understand that.
You just don't like it, and it's okay.
There are scenes of it that I think are interesting. I go into movies. I have this weird thing, and a lot of people, and if you guys have listened to any of these videos that we've done, and I have my top movies, you know that I love a cinematic movie most of the time. And this one, it just didn't hit those points for me, except once in a while. It was just too far. And I think it is because of the length of the movie. Because I love epic movies, but the epic movie I love,
it's a long movie and it's slow, which definitely doesn't help it. But like, it's like the inverse of Scarface for me, because for me it was actually interesting. But
I think
I didn't love it. It didn't blow me away or anything, but I liked it.
I think it's just because it's so slow and
it's
so long, and it doesn't give me a visual impact enough of the time that it's slow. And I'm a very visual person, and anybody who knows some of my favorite movies aren't because of like anything more than that they visually are like interesting to me, and the script is really well done. This one, the script was good. I'm not going to say it wasn't. It had such low points, and during the low points there was nothing for me to focus on. Does that make sense?
It does. It's interesting because there are certain scenes that are scattered through there that are very visually popping. The wedding is beautiful.
Yes.
The horse head in your bed.
Which was a real horse head, by the way.
Right. Grab the cannoli scene. I mean, but
so far between.
No, I get that. Yeah.
As the person if you're going to have lull in a movie, I want something visually to look at.
Sure.
And I feel like the parts that had the visual impact were also the parts where the script had impact, and the lulls were just lulls in every way. And I think that's what my problem with it is. It's like these lulls that are visually lulls and script lulls, and I don't like that. It makes me get disinterested. And for it to be that is, it needed to have visual impact where the script was flatline, and it just didn't. So
I get that. No, let me tell you just a small story of my first time watching was my senior year in high school. I worked at Sonic in Lamar, which was about 30 miles away from where I live. So to go to work, basically, it was going to take me 35, 40 minutes every day. And I, for school, I'd go or whatever. And on a Saturday, and my parents had just got HBO, and I don't know why, because they really couldn't afford it, but they got HBO. And so I turned on HBO to see what was on, and I caught the beginning of this movie. And I had 3 hours until I needed to leave to go to work. I got so engrossed. I'm like, I've got to leave, but this movie, I want to see what happened. What? And so that's where I was at. It so engrossed me as a 17-year-old that I was just engrossed in it, and visually I was buying in. So it's just, I know it's different for each of us, but it's just an interesting fact because I had a big late for work because I thought I could finish. I'm like, this movie's going to end any time, right? And then no, it keeps going.
I really do think it's not always, but if you ask like most women, it's not going to be on their top.
No, right.
Ask a lot of guys, it is. And I think it is men and women view things differently. And I think that it doesn't appeal to woman's aesthetic. I know that's weird. But if you've ever taken a marketing class or anything like that, there are things that trigger emotional and responses of enjoyment in women and men, and they're different. And it's not just TNA, and don't go there with me with that. Visual, like colors and they're put together, and it was put together in a very masculine way, but not in a way that it's Playboy. Okay, it's the thing with Playboy that Hugh Hefner did that was brilliant with Playboy, and he was quoted several times. He would have, naked women, but there was always something masculine in the shot.
Right.
To bring every man into that world. Oh, I could be there. And that's what was great about that. And I understand that this movie does that. Like it leaves these little things that where a guy can be like, I could be a mobster. Yeah, this could, you know what I mean? And it brings you into their world, but they didn't do enough of it for the feminine audience to pull them in.
And it
Fantasy
wasn't
fulfillment.
Right. So you're telling me this doesn't do it for you?
No.
Okay. All right.
The rose is the closest thing.
Right.
Not really. It's an attempt of it, but it doesn't do it. No.
All right. Very good. All right. Okay. Let me go with one. And okay, so this movie was on my list, and actually I went back and rewatched it, and it's actually off the list, but I wanted to include it and talk about it. So this is one that when I saw it in the theater, I hated it. I thought I wasted my money. I told one of my friends, why did we just waste our money on this? Because I did not get it until later, because my expectations were different for it.
Expectations hurt every movie.
And that's the thing. It's whatever your expectations are. And so this is a movie that you would think would be one of those that I would just love. And it's Starship Troopers.
Oh, that makes me sad.
And what I didn't like about it was I was expecting a kind of hardcore Space Marines kind of movie.
Expecting the satire.
I was not expecting the satire.
Yeah.
And so I kept waiting and waiting.
Which I know a lot of people that talk about how much they hate that movie because they're like, it was so cheesy and so just like slapstick and whatever. It was dumb. I'm like, yeah, that was the joke. It was supposed to be because it was a satire. It was meant to be that way.
Well, the interesting thing is when you read the book.
Yeah.
The book is very different than the movie.
Oh yeah.
But the book's not a hardcore Marine book either. And it actually addresses some of the same issues, but just in a different way, the satire there. So once I went back and I had friends tell me this is how you need to view this movie. The other problem was one of my favorite TV shows on at the same time was Space Above and Beyond, which was this hardcore Marines in space fighting the bad guys. And so that's what I was expecting. And so my expectation, so that's also something that I just wanted to mention to people. Your expectations of a movie can determine how much you like it. And you may want to give it a second chance, or maybe something that's on that list that you just need to go rewatch.
Right.
But I mean, a positive though is that the uniforms that they wore went on to become the exact same props were used as the uniforms for the bad guys in Firefly.
Right. That's very true.
Also, what you just said, I also think if you hated something like 15, 20 years ago, come back and watch it because you've changed your perspective and the world has changed. The world has changed. And so the movie might bring something.
That's mainly why. That's why I want to watch The Birdcage again.
Right. Exactly. So, all right, Spree, what do you got for us?
Okay. This one is one that gets me a lot of crap a lot of the time, even with my own kid. I'm one of maybe like 2 people I've ever spoken to that absolutely downright despises The Nightmare Before Christmas.
My wife would be one also.
Really?
But my wife doesn't like geek stuff most of the time. So
this is actually number 3 of the list of 4 movies that I wanted to get up and walk out of the theater on. I hated it that much. It did nothing for me.
So you know how you were talking about movies being like nothing, you have no. This is one of those movies. Dakota liked it growing up because it was an emo type Christmas movie. And
right.
This was another one of those that it was big when it came out and then it went away for a while. And then all of a sudden, 10, 15 years ago, it just came back with a vengeance. And now it's like to this day, it's like everywhere. You can't turn your head without seeing Jack and Sally in your face somewhere. And I don't get it. I do not get it.
I think the appeal of it is that it is a Christmas movie for the emo kid. And that's the thing. I think that's what made it popular. And then those kids, nostalgia. We have nostalgia that brings things back. Sometimes
true. That's true.
Is it a Christmas movie or is it a Halloween movie?
It's technically what Disney has said is a Christmas movie.
Actually, according to the guy who wrote and directed the movie, it is a Halloween movie.
I know,
with
but
Christmas theme.
Well, it's just a holiday movie. It combines them both.
It's both.
They do talk
and
about
neither.
all the holidays. They do talk about all the
It's
holidays.
garbage. That's what it is.
Well, and I will say I prefer Edward Scissorhands, which is also
that's
Tim Burton and a Christmas movie. So
I prefer, if you're gonna go into I prefer Corpse Bride.
Yeah, Corpse Bride. Yeah.
See, okay, yes. I actually somewhat enjoyed the Corpse Bride. But the thing is, the difference between those two movies, everybody and their freaking dog says that The Nightmare Before Christmas is a Tim Burton movie, and it's not. He produced it. He wrote the story that it's based on, and that's it.
Wasn't his name attached to it?
What?
I thought his name was attached to it. Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas.
It is, because he wrote the story that it was based on, and then he produced it.
So that's why people say it's a Tim Burton movie, is because
but he wasn't the actor.
People take that to think that it is like he directed it and all that stuff, and he didn't. So those movies, like, other than he came up with the idea for it and some of the designs and whatnot, like
the idea behind it, the idea of it is not a bad story.
Sure.
The idea is not for a kid. It's not. It's like it's a kid.
No, I'll agree with you on that one. The idea is fine. I just didn't enjoy the music. I didn't enjoy the characters. I didn't enjoy hardly any of it. And it was like, I just remember sitting in the theater watching it, and like there was some song that came on. I can't even tell you what it was. I just remember using it as the example all the time. That like it was like just there were like it was like song overload, and it was like we're like literally singing a song about being stupid for an I had a bad idea and I was stupid, or I can't even remember. I don't know, but. This one is actually one that I did go back and rewatch just last Christmas, actually. Lex wanted to watch it, so we went and watched it. And I still was just like, yeah, no.
Not for you. It's okay.
Her mom loves that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could that be part of it too?
No, because I thought, like I said, I saw it in the theater when it came out.
Sure.
Years before I ever even knew her mom.
I mean, if if your ex really likes it and you don't, then that just kind of adds fuel. And
right.
Anyway, but maybe not. Anyway, all right. Ace, what else you got?
Okay, so I'm down to my top two.
Yeah.
And I feel kind of. I didn't like when I put them on the list. And people at work, they were like, "Wow, you're really dogging on somebody because two movies are combined into like there's a person behind both of them." But
yeah, there is.
And I have an opinion on that.
Yeah, and Professor pointed out that he is shocked that a girl like I'm the only girl, and this is on my list.
Yeah.
Titanic.
The sinking boat movie.
I can't even. First of all, I love
the sequel's really great though.
I love history, dude. I love history. Love it. I was super excited that they were going to do a Titanic movie. And then they freaking turned it into this weird,
unbelievable love story.
Love story. And when you say love, unbelievable. Okay, I love a good love story. This one is. There is no way a socialite of that time frame is going to fall in love that fast with a poor guy and then leave all the money and then go and
her poor husband.
Or fiance.
Like she married some other dude.
Oh, some other dude. Yeah.
And yet, when she dies and goes to heaven, she sees Leo DiCaprio, not her husband.
Right. The thing is,
poor guy.
And it's just they take all this time to dig this freaking necklace out of the Titanic, and then
she just throws it.
I'm like, oh my god, woman!
I like the
good news is Ariel found it, so it's okay.
But
I like the fan theory that the movie, like the context of the whole movie, the whole Jack Dawson whatever story, that none of that actually happened. She just made up some like completely BS story just to I don't know, get them off her back or whatever.
The thing about it is just this. It's an unbelievable story. First of all, like it doesn't even have roots in reality, and this is a historical. Like I went into this thinking it was a historical type of movie, and it was like no, okay, no, yeah, that's it. Him going up to the dining room like with her, like what? No,
yeah,
like, him putting on. He wouldn't have had that like. I'm sorry, that wouldn't have happened. They would never have met. They would never have met ever. Like it wouldn't have happened because they were kept apart, and it frustrated me so much.
Like I appreciated some of the like historical accuracies that were in the film.
The staircase, beautiful.
If somebody could make like a super edit cut, just take out all the Leo and Kate scenes and just have a movie about the Titanic,
I would.
Then it's a good movie. Like I like those parts.
And I don't hate Leo and Kate. I actually think they're amazing actors.
I like Kate. I hate Leo.
I don't hate Leo. I hate some of the things he's done, but I don't hate him. I loved him in What's Eating Gilbert Grape. You know, that's
that's one of about 3 roles I've ever seen him in that I enjoyed.
I loved him in Catch Me If You Can. So I like Leo. It's not that I think he's a bad actor in this. I think the script was stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful, and I've watched it 3 times since it's come out because visually it's beautiful and it's historically accurate, and I love that. But
I'm gonna throw out half of a thing, and then I'm gonna follow it up here in a little bit, and that's saying that James Cameron, after he made The Abyss, forgot how to make movies. Especially if you've ever seen the director's cut. It's a totally different movie, and it's phenomenal. Love that. It's one of my favorite movies ever. Yeah. But after that movie, he just, I guess, somehow forgot how to make movies.
Well, here's the thing.
I will explain why that is here in a little bit.
Yeah. The thing about it is visually, his movies are visually stunning.
Yeah.
They are. The story sucked.
Yeah. And I'll explain my points on that here in a bit.
But in Titanic, the characters were not developed enough. There was no time to like or hate them except for me. You know what I mean? And I understand they're like on a voyage and it happened really quick. And that's why it was unbelievable and unrealistic. Also, freaking move over. The love of your life, who you just met a couple days ago, but the love of your life is in the cold water. You're on a big
Mythbusters proved that they could have both been on there.
Which, even if they couldn't, take freaking turns.
Take turns.
Like, oh my God. You just let him.
At least it gives you, you'll probably both die that way, but at least you'll have a fighting chance.
Right. And the thing is everybody was like, oh, it's so romantic. He got her on the thing. And then, and I'm like, she's a B word.
And he tried to climb up there once.
I know.
It wasn't like they tried several times and it wasn't working. He tried once.
And then he just held on. So if anybody doesn't know, Shpoo and I are a couple. If he's in the water freezing to death and I'm on a door, I'm going to take turns with him at the very least.
I've been like, scooch on over, or hey, how about this? I'll just lay on top of you, and then body heat will keep us both alive.
It was the most annoying ending of a love story, like the love story part of it, and then her going off and like just owning her whole family and her whole life and everything to take this guy's name who she let drown in icy cold water. BS. I'm sorry.
And then you're just gonna toss the necklace into the ocean at the end of the movie. It's like you're here with your granddaughter, your daughter, whoever, whatever she's supposed to be. Like, I guess
You had a life.
I guess she's not getting much in the will.
Right.
Well, and here's the thing.
Certainly don't set her up for life.
It's not like she went and became a nun and didn't have a life and thought of him every single day. Like, I mean, I know that, you know, you still think of, but it's not this, it's not the epic love story that they.
It's bad, is what it is.
It's so bad. The love story is bad. The visuals, the historical accurate clothing. I'm all about the clothing. The staircase was
like little tiny events. Little tiny events that scattered, you know, like sprinkled throughout the movie. The orchestra coming back once he let them go, and then they come back. I'm trying to think of like other good examples, but like little things like that. All of those things actually happened in real life.
Right. The way the ship, the events that happened, like all of those were the way the ship filled with water. Like I loved that because that is how it happened. Like they, and
like if you don't know, James Cameron is like a giant Titanic fanboy.
Yeah. Like
he actually helped to design like the new little mini subs that are capable of actually getting to the depth to find the Titanic. Like he helped design those things. He's that much of a fanboy. And he's made like 2 or 3 documentaries about it.
Right.
He actually goes down there like a couple times a year.
And the thing is this could have been an epic movie without the love story.
Yes.
And it would have been amazing.
Yes.
But you throw this weird love story of these late teenagers, early 20s people in there, and that they're not even star-crossed lovers, because in reality they would never have met.
Yeah.
And it's just, let alone even if they would have met, they would never have been able to spend as much time together as they do.
No.
And it's just this annoying thing. And as a person who, I love history, Shrew will tell you that I love historical movies and TV shows and all of that. This one, nope. So I'm a girl who hates Titanic. So
which is refreshing. So now, how many weeks did this movie stay at #1? Because it was some sort of record. It was like 19 or 20 weeks.
Yeah,
or
it's still
something that was crazy.
It's still #3 worldwide in box office.
Yeah.
#6 domestic of all time.
Yeah.
So that tells you, like, that's a huge number.
I want to say it was 19 weeks, if I remember right, but I could be completely wrong on that.
It was months and months. It was like
17 or 19 or something like that.
It was the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah.
People were seeing it 15 times. I mean,
I know.
And I'm like, I saw it once and went, it was kind of pretty at points and okay.
Visually,
I remember saying one thing when I came out of the theater after watching Titanic. I looked at the people that I was with. I don't even remember who it was, and I was like, you know what I think of that movie? I really have to pee. And then
I was the guy that was coming out of the movie after seeing it and basically being convinced to go see it with a group of people, because I was like, I don't want to see this movie. So I went and saw it. Like, oh, you got to see this. You got to see it. I came out, and there were people that were lined up for it. And I looked at the people that were waiting for the movie theater. I said, the boat does sink, just so you know. And I walked on. That's what I did. So, but yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that. So let's talk one that probably we won't all be in agreement on. This one is a beloved movie. It's a Disney movie.
Oh.
It's even a Pixar movie, I believe.
Oh.
And I just can't stand it. It's WALL-E. I'm sorry.
Thank you. I am there with you on that
one. Oh
one.
my gosh.
Well, I take it back. With Wall-E, it wasn't so much I couldn't stand it as much as it was just I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sure, it's pretty.
Yeah, right.
That's about
sort
it.
of. Okay, I get it. Humans, if we're left to our own devices without having to work for something, we're all just going to sit around and get fat. Got it. Okay, lesson learned. Sit around and get fat. Oh, look. Oh, okay. Here I am.
Did you know that we are destroying the Earth? Did you know that, by the way, that there was a very, very subtle message about that in the movie. I don't know if you caught that.
Humans are pigs that get fat and they destroy the planet they live on. Okay, got it. All right, done.
But Wall-E.
Then machines fall in love.
Yeah.
Well, that's fine. I like Johnny Five is alive. So there we go.
Hey, it's like Short Circuit.
A much better love story.
Right. Oh my God, that's a true statement. It's like Short Circuit in space with I don't know. Here's the thing. I didn't hate it.
So it's fan fiction. It is the fan fiction. Yes. It's very. They had to change some designs so that people wouldn't pick up on it, but it's actually fan fiction about how Johnny Five falls in love with R2-D2
after the world is destroyed because of the people. Yeah. But he didn't have really fun quips. I mean, I didn't hear your mother was a snowblower. Right. Come on.
I want to watch Short Circuit.
I do too. We have it, don't we?
We do.
We're watching that.
The first one's good. So
where is no CP?
I can't.
So anyway,
Wall-E, I just felt like here's what I felt like, and I think this is the problem that I had with it, and I didn't hate it. I felt like it was trying to force too many messages onto kids.
Yeah.
And trying to make it entertaining, but failed.
And I don't understand how anybody over the age of 2 enjoys that movie. I mean,
there's a huge fan following.
Visually beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But it's just, I mean, for 90% of the movie, it's literally Wall-E, Eva, repeat.
Wall-E.
Right.
Many, many times.
Wall-E. Eva.
Wall-E.
No.
Johnny Five is alive.
You know another good movie that where an AI falls in love is Bicentennial Man.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
That shows that puts a message down your throat too, but not in such a way that it's like, oh God.
It's Robin Williams.
I feel like Wall-E was like aliens bashing humans. Like if aliens made a movie to bash humans and talk about how stupid we are, this is the.
And you know what? They probably wouldn't be wrong.
No.
Look at where we've come in the last 10 years, what we've done politically and stuff. You just like, okay, we're all idiots. Okay, we're gonna move on. So
yeah.
We left to our own devices, we destroy the world, and we get fat. Last year proved that.
Exactly.
Oh, but we found one plant, one tiny little flower growing. Bring the humans back. We're saved.
Yeah.
In the middle of a trash dumpster.
Nobody else sees a problem with that.
Wait, that little plant's going to...
One little blade of thing.
It's going to produce enough oxygen for everybody on that ship. Clearly.
Yeah.
Their lungs are only like this. They're so small.
Right. Okay. All right. So you two have a combined one now.
Yes.
So tell us what your combined one is and why the hate for it.
When this movie came out, I was super, super excited for it.
Me too.
And then I went and saw it.
Me too.
And I said the same thing to pretty much everybody that I spoke to afterwards. I would recommend seeing this movie in theater in 3D, strictly for the visual aspect of it.
Yeah.
Visually, especially in 3D, gorgeous.
Yep. And
beyond that,
but it's brought to you by the same person who visually gave us a stunning Titanic.
Yeah. And that movie, of course, is Avatar.
Oh,
I just saw a Cameron movie, by the way.
Hands down, the worst big budget cinematic movie that I have ever seen in my life. I may actually be serious when I say that. I'm not entirely positive without giving it a lot of thought.
Number three.
Top three, for sure.
Number 3 box office all-time domestic.
Yep.
Number 1 box office worldwide.
Yep.
Still, this day. Why?
And we're getting sequels.
Like six, I think, altogether.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So here's the thing.
You tell them why you.
First of all, first thing that I hated about it is if I wanted to watch Dances with Wolves, Pocahontas, or Fern Gully, I could have done that at home. Secondly, I mentioned before, and now I will complete my thought from before, where I said that James Cameron forgot how to make movies post The Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Because now anything that he comes out with is exactly the same. We are introduced to a character in the middle of their story.
Right.
So we find out, okay, here's this dude. He's in a wheelchair because he has a twin brother who was like this space marine, and they went on all sorts of adventures and stuff and did all this stuff. Could we see that movie? Because it sounds a lot cooler than this one, for one. And he was part of this project, so we are dropped in the middle of a story. And given all the backstory of this story in the opening scene, and it sounds like a much more interesting story.
Here's the thing. We're dropped in the middle of the story, and we're following a character who should not be the lead character, should be a side character.
Right.
The character is never in
then, so dropped in with a character that we shouldn't even be following. Add 2.5 to 3 hours of padding. In battle scene, the end.
Yep.
That is a James Cameron movie.
The padding is beautiful, though. Like
it is
so gorgeous.
You cut.
Oh my God, the story sucks.
If you would have taken about an hour out of that movie, it might have actually been an enjoying watch.
I don't agree. I don't think that any editing of that movie could make it an enjoyable watch, because I think they told the wrong story. I agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
I think that they told the story of a minor side character being the lead when he should have been the minor side character.
Yeah.
Period. I think that you don't get invested in him or his story or anything because, again, the same problem that they had with Titanic, you don't take the time to build a relationship. And these are epic movies. These are long movies. They had the time to build these stories and get you to like this person or feel this way about this person, but they don't give you that. They literally throw you in. And with Titanic, you can say, okay, well, you have to start the story when they board the boat, and you have to end the story when the Titanic sinks. So they could have started the story anywhere. Instead, they literally start it, and you're like, the first part of the story, you're like, I'm not sure what I'm watching and why I'm watching it, because
we're like, there's these space marines and they do all this stuff and yada yada yada, and be like, oh wow, that's going to be awesome when we get to see that.
And you never see it.
We don't ever get to see that.
And it's just, I don't know, it's so frustrating because the premise of it is not a bad premise. I'm hoping for more for the sequels. The premise of it is not bad. That's
the part that makes me truly sad is when the sequel comes out, I'm sure I'll be there. Like, give me my ticket, Yeah. I'll be probably just as excited because I didn't learn my lesson with the Star Wars prequels and/or sequels, where the last one was terrible, but surely this one's going to be better, right? It has to be.
We have hope. We have hope in the cinematic world. We have hope because here's the thing, you see the potential in this. I saw the potential in Avatar.
Potential was great because it was a gorgeous movie, but just the logic didn't make sense. The choices didn't make sense. The story, we got the wrong story with the wrong characters. It contradicted itself.
The characters were forced. They felt
the characters were forced and cookie cutter.
Yes, and they were so. It was not just a stereotypical, like, because you're like, oh, well, it wasn't stereotypical. They're blue aliens, blah blah blah. Okay, but it was so contrived to the point that it hurt.
I think it's the only movie I've ever seen Stephen Lang in. He was, of course, the big bad guy.
Right.
Only movie I've ever seen him in that I despised him. I enjoy him as an actor tremendously. Don't Breathe. I haven't seen part 2 yet, but I desperately want to. Don't Breathe. Yeah. But in that, he was the most cookie cutter cliche I am bad guy I have ever seen in a movie. It's
the same with Billy from Titanic. He's the
cliche, like mustache twirling. Yeah.
Rich, like arrogant, asshole, for lack of a better term, fiance, whose her parents really like it. It's so unoriginal, and the visuals are so stunning and so unique. Even the Titanic, because he did have such an historically accurate set and historically accurate clothing and stuff, because he took the time for all these little details. And you guys all know that I love these little details in the movie, and I love those things. But you have to have a story that goes along with those little details, and neither one of these movies did that.
Yeah.
So let me just say, but there's flying mountains and you ride a dragon. I mean,
it's pretty. It's very, very pretty, especially in 3D. It's
right.
And I'm not a big 3D guy. Like, I mean, sure, I don't mind. I'll enjoy a 3D movie, but that's the one time. That is the only movie I've ever seen where I actually recommended you need to see this in 3D.
Right.
In most movies, I think the 3D distracts me.
Yeah,
I'll just be honest. Like Star Trek, I think the first remake Star Trek movie I saw in 3D, and it just distracted me from the movie. But this one I did see in 3D, and I thought it did do well that way. But you're right. It's a pretty movie. But Jason says he hates 3D movies. I'm with you usually, Jason, because it just distracts the snot out of me. But
I'm not anti-3D. I enjoy 3D, but I also I don't care about 3D. Like I can see it in 3D or 2D, and it makes no difference to me whatsoever.
I just save my money.
Only time where I'm like, no, you need to see this one in 3D.
So I've seen this movie twice. I saw it on the screen, and then I watched.
Sadly, seen it more than that.
I watched it at home. I can't remember who it was with, but I did something with the second time I watched it. I literally muted the movie. No, I'm going to tell you.
Just watch the visuals?
And just watch the visuals, and I loved it.
I can see that. That's good.
When you get the script, and
can you imagine, okay, so I have often said
watch Avatar without sound.
I'm going to take that a step further. Not something I have done, not something that I would do, not something that I recommend anybody do. More just a hypothetical. Can you imagine watching that movie high? Like if you had taken LSD or something, that'd be terrifying. I would think. But
you ask questions like that, and people were like, "Yeah, I get to." I have no idea. I've never done a drug in my life.
I mean, it's such a trippy. So many scenes in that are so trippy to begin with.
Do you know what movie I think would be terrifying and funny at the same time to watch high?
What?
Dumbo.
Oh God. Oh God. The original.
It would be terrifying.
Well, yeah, the remake.
Well, yeah, because like the pink elephant scene is terrifying to begin with.
Nope.
It is for a kid, for sure. Yeah.
Or Fantasia.
Yeah. But no,
there's an episode, movies that would be terrifying to watch hot.
I actually enjoy, and this is how this movie.
Don't do drugs, kids.
No, don't. This is how this movie is my number one, like, hated of like the favorite movies, is because if I can tell you that I've sat through this movie twice, and one of the times was without sound, and I enjoyed it more without sound.
Yeah.
That's telling you that I hated the story.
Well, the movie Skyline's like that. It's really pretty if you watch it without sound, because the plot of that movie's just non-existent.
Yeah.
Characters are 1D. Anyway, but
so that one was such a good idea, and that's where it ended.
Well, it made that whole movie for $1 million. That was the thing that was really cool about it. It's like, there's a super cool looking movie that we're going to throw every possible cliche at you at one time. And we're going to do it for $1 million, but the actors are going to be like, oh, they think there's a plot to this movie. Oh, how cute.
It's sadly, like, it's had a couple of like very, 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 like, I think sci-fi original type budget sequels to it that are actually, like, if you can get past the cheese, past the cheese factor of it, are pretty good.
I've seen the second one. I've not seen the third one, but yeah.
The third one's not as good, but wait, which one is? One of them, I can't remember if it's the second or the third one. I think it's the third one where they finally. Okay, so you remember the guy that is time here, but so the movie ends. The first one ends when you realize, like, oh, that's what's his face. They finally bring him back.
Right. That's what I've heard.
I want to say it's the third one, but
yeah. Because the second one's a separate group that's outside of the city.
Okay,
but,
so the third one.
All right, Jason's got this to say about being high and watching stuff.
Oh God. I've been high twice in this because it's not for you to go to see the Green One.
I can imagine that's true. It's probably
Never
true.
Seen the Dead, but I've played shows at Schwagstock before, so I understand completely.
Yeah.
But no, like that's my list. That's the top of my list. I have one other that I was gonna honorably mention.
All right. Well, we'll get to that one after we do my last one.
You do yours.
And then I'll have to find a picture of yours.
I love how this is like going to be a shorter episode.
Now it's 2 hours. Right, I know. You guys just kept talking. I thought we were going to just throw it together really quick, and here we go. So this movie is beloved by the geek community and talked about how, and it's really kind of psychedelic, and I've watched it and went, what am I watching? Because I don't get it. And then my thought was, because you just mentioned the whole being high, I'm like, maybe you have to be high to watch it and understand, because I don't get it. And you guys are probably telling me I'm stupid because it's Donnie Darko. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Do I have to watch it with people that like it? You know, I know there's movies that you have to watch with people that understand it. Maybe that's it, because I watched it by myself and went, what am I watching? Because this makes absolutely no sense.
I love that movie, and
that's what I figured you were going to say. I don't get it.
Well, and I know a lot of people who say that they don't understand it, and I don't understand not understanding it. It's. I think people are trying to read more into it than is necessary. It's just about wormholes and time travel. That's it. That is the explanation. Period.
All I know, and it probably was that I watched it by myself at home. I rented it. I don't know. I'm happy to rewatch it again with somebody that likes it.
I will say it's one of those movies that I've lost quite a bit of enjoyment over. I don't love it as much as I used to because of how it's one of those movies where, like, it was so cool to like, to love that movie.
Yes, it was.
One of those. And I end up hating movies like that. Like, there's so many movies that I used to love that I now hate because of that. I don't hate this movie by any means, but But I haven't seen it in a very long time.
Jason's agreeing with you here, by the way.
No, Darko is.
Yeah, right.
I agree that it's very overrated. But I didn't hate it. I did understand it. I just felt like,
Yeah, well, I watched it the first time I saw it. I had not heard the hype. I don't remember how I came across it, honestly, but I came across it. I watched it. And I'm like, wow, that was really cool. And then like a month or two later, you know, people start talking about it. And they're like, oh, this movie is so weird. It's so confusing. I'm like, no, it's really not at all.
I think that's one of the problems I had with it.
And then it just blew up.
It was suggested to me to watch it, and this is an amazing movie. Oh my gosh, you will love this movie! And I'm like, and I went into it, and I think, and it's the expectation we've talked about.
Right, yes.
That expectation that this is going to be an amazing movie, and it didn't hit the mark for me to be an amazing movie.
I had the fortune of seeing it before the hype, and so I just got to see this, you know, weird, interesting little movie that was really different, and
I love those movies. Before.
And honestly, like, and it's one of the rare occasions where I couldn't call the ending, where it was just like, I don't know where this is going,
right?
And then the end happens, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I get it. And so, I mean, anytime a movie can do that, it's impressive to me. But then, of course, the hype train has to come along and ruin everything.
And see, my experience was people were telling me, oh, you got to see this, you got to see this, you got to see it. And then I watched it and went, and it wasn't that I couldn't follow the plot. I'm just like, I'm not really sure I'm getting why it's so beloved.
Right, because they literally tell you it's so good and that you will love this. And oh my gosh, it's an amazing movie. And then you get to the point where you're like, near the end of it, and you're like, I don't get the amazingness of it. Not that you don't understand the plot. It's just you're like, what is so amazing about this movie?
Well, and that's where I thought, well, maybe I'm supposed to be high to watch this, even though I've never been high. I mean, I've been drunk before, but I've never been high. So I'm like, I don't know. Is that the key to it? Because
in case we're never going to like this.
I need to go back and rewatch it. This is one of those that I know I probably need to watch it when I can focus on it and I'm in the right mood. Because I know if I'm not in the right mood for certain types of movies.
You know what I really want to do? Because I've been wanting people to come over. We should have a movie night.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah, I agree.
You can come over here, or I'll go over to your house, and we'll bring people could be there.
Yeah,
we can even like stream
a reaction,
movie, like make it like a kind of a regular deal or semi-regular deal.
Yeah,
and, like stream movie night.
Yeah,
and we can kind of like discuss the movie as we go.
This is true. Stop it every time.
Just can't show the movie.
Right.
We'll get copyright.
Well, no, but I mean, there's tons of
the sound be going too
kind of like riff tracks or your Woody Dubs, those type of guys, you know, where they release commentary tracks for movies, and it's just the audio. You just play it alongside the movie. Yeah, that's actually something I've been wanting to do for quite some time with Scallywag.
That would be fun.
Yeah. We haven't.
All right. So you've got your extra one you wanted to throw out there.
Okay, so this one, I was working in the movie theater. I was a manager when this movie came out, and we had to play it for we were contractually obligated to play it for 12 weeks on the big screen with the IMAX, and it's Dunkirk. And this
yeah.
And here's the thing. It's a war movie, so you think it's going to be like super exciting.
Yeah,
I love war movies, and I had been looking forward to this one for months when it came out.
Just not.
And it was so
very boring. It's very boring. But the story it tells is a very good story that most people don't know about.
Yeah,
so if you don't know about it, please do. But I just felt like, again, it's one of those, you're dropped in the middle of the story, which I get, but you don't have time to really grow to have a relationship as a moviegoer with any of the characters.
Right.
And
yeah, that was my problem with it also. I agree.
That's and if you guys have been listening, that's the big issue we've had with a lot of these, is that character development is something very important, and I don't mind you not necessarily to all these movies, but I wouldn't mind you taking out 15 minutes of something else to give me 15 minutes of character development near the beginning of a movie, so I can at least know who I should like.
Right.
And I don't have that with this.
It's kind of hard to care for a character when you know nothing about them that's worth caring about.
Right. That's true.
And this movie, so it was such a big deal because I worked at the IMAX, and it was such a big deal because it was shot on the IMAX.
Right.
In an
right.
IMAX. Visually, it's done really well. And it is a very important story about a very important event in the war. And I get that. It's just, you get thrown into this with these characters, and before you can even start to like them, which would have happened, they die.
Right.
But then you're left not knowing who or what you should be like. You have to have one person that you care about, and you don't have that.
Yeah, if you don't have somebody that you like as a character, and I say that about a lot of movies, if I can't have a character that I'm rooting for, right, and have some sort of level of where I can appreciate, I mean that's my problem with a lot of movies that people just love. I'm like, I don't care about any of the characters.
Well, I'm not saying, they have to be the good guy. There are movies I watch for the villain.
Right.
There are movies that I'm like, I love this because of the bad guy.
Right.
Because there's depth to the character, and these are based, and this is what bothered me about Dunkirk, is these are based on real people.
Right.
Who really died.
Right.
And yet somehow the closest we get to a story is the boat is on the boat.
Right.
When the boats went to save them. I wanted the stories of these people. Like, if you're gonna make a war movie, pick one character that we can hope that they don't die.
Right. Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
You got that character, you're like, okay, this character has to live.
Right. And even if they don't, then you're heartbroken, but you have an emotional response to the character you love.
We've actually had a chance to connect with the characters.
Right, exactly.
And so if any filmmakers ever watch this, I hope that you guys take away that you should give us some character development at the beginning of a film so we can like the characters. So that way we are invested in your film.
And you should contract us, all three, to help you develop that.
Yes.
We would do that.
And we're kind of experts in all sorts of films, so depending on the type you want,
it's true.
Spoo's really going to help you with your horror movie.
Oh my gosh!
And AJ can help you with those time period and romance movies. And if you want a noir, I'm your guy.
Romance is it's iffy.
Well, if it's,
have a good story.
Right, it has to be a good story with it. No, I agree. It can't just be fluff romance. Those romantic comedies that really aren't romantic, whatever.
There's nothing wrong with a fluff romance. They make you money. I'm still down for that.
It's good to make
even
money.
if the formula makes no sense.
Hey, that's a different show.
Men are evil. That's all you need to know. All right. All right. Thank you guys for watching. We thought it was going to be a short one. It wasn't a short one. Shocker. We got talking. We had a good time doing it.
I mean, in the grand scope of the universe, it's short.
Well, that is true. This is true. I hope you both have a better week than what you've been having, a little more calm. I hope this was an oasis away from all the other stuff going on.
We love our geeky distractions.
Yes, exactly. Even though I know you got to go spend like 8 hours writing now. So
yes. Before we leave, we always like to throw out some friendly reminders of some other people that you should check out on the internet. Just throw them out. Shmoo. But Shmoo, you should do one. Do one. Pick one of them. You know who we talk about other than yourself.
I'm totally unprepared for that. You go right ahead. I'll plug me and GeekyKOOL.
Okay.
All right.
There you go. So guys, check out the OzPod Gals. They haven't been doing this for very long, but they're really cool. They're really amazing.
Yep.
And part of the OzCon family, which we love. And they are on Thursday nights, 6 p.m. on Facebook. Go give them a like on their Facebook page. Check them out. They're just two of the geekiest, coolest girls ever. And they're both like super cute and funny. You can't go wrong with that. Like, that's a good combination.
It is. It's a good combination.
So we go from 2 girls to 2 guys, and that would be Josh and Tim over at Nerd Informants on YouTube and Facebook. They are going to bring you all kinds of reviews for movies, video games, all kinds of funny things. If you guys go back, try to find the video of Tim watching Annabelle. So funny.
Watching what?
Annabelle. He screams like a little baby. It's so cute. But go find them. They also have something great for fans and nerds and geeks. They have a Facebook page that is devoted to us, and we actually can put whatever we would like on there, ask questions, find funny memes, all kinds of stuff, and that is Nerd Informants Beyond. So you guys be sure to go and like that page, check it out, join that, and start posting all kinds of things. We are on there all the time. I know a lot of people who are, so be sure to go.
And I do have to say, to Nerd Informants and Beyond.
That was beautiful. I'm going to make
Thank you.
Every time. 2 of our other friends are Keith and Gary over at Pop Culture Mind.
We have more friends? Wow.
I know. Yeah, lots of friends. They are going to not be as kid-friendly as we are because Gary does not know how to censor his language. However,
currently they are, but they're not going to be.
They're not going. They're not. They could be, but they're not going to be, because you really do want to watch them though, because they have amazing scoops. They know everyone, and you will learn so much from watching their show. So be sure to go check them out.
And then I want to do the little commercial with the ice cream thing. Scoop, there it is. Scoop, there it is. Sorry.
We gotta get some visuals here. Oh, what?
You still doing your show?
Yeah.
Oh my
Hi.
gosh.
Hi. That's my wife. Hey, everybody.
So,
she's like, oh my gosh, you're still doing your show? Yeah.
Yeah. We were supposed to be over. Sorry.
Yeah, like an hour ago, whatever.
Right.
Keith also has his own show over at the Fat Steven Seagal Show on YouTube called Keith Chimes In. And is he still doing Babylon 5?
Yes.
He's so in depth on this show. You guys have to go watch it and check it out and talk to him. And it's Mondays at 3 p.m. And like I said, it's on the Fat Steven Seagal Show channel on YouTube. So go give that a like, subscribe.
I just hope I never have a Fat Larry Lytle channel. So I don't know.
Oh my God. I can't. I'm done. Okay.
Well, we'll shoot it up here to the Scallywag himself to talk about his show.
Yes, pop on over to Scallywag Productions on YouTube. That is my channel. I just do rants about weird stuff and nerdy stuff and everything in between, basically. Due to some health stuff, I have been on a bit of a hiatus for a little bit now. That is hopefully going to be coming to a close here before long. I will at the very least be doing a health update every time I get ready to do that. Other things kind of get in the way, but I will be doing that soon, and we'll probably start slowly but surely getting back to releasing videos again. Yeah, you can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. There you can find the collectible of the day, so you can kind of see some photography stuff for all of this stuff that's behind me. If anybody would be interested in purchasing prints of any of those pictures, drop me a line, because that is something that's in the works. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Scallywag Productions, that's SK, not SC.
That's important.
Right down there.
Hey, using the K is very important.
Yeah.
Not just for Scallywags, but also for GeekyKOOL.
Yes, that's right. And speaking of GeekyKOOL, as long as you're out here on the internet, pop over to www.GeekyKOOL.com, your one-stop shop for all things nerd. And I mean, you can find a little bit of everything over there. You got articles, you got top 10 lists, you got these types of things. Of course, you got the live stream that happens every week, except for weeks like last week where it didn't happen because of reasons. But still, most weeks.
Yeah.
And we're always looking for if you would like to contribute, just give us a shout. You can catch us on Facebook and YouTube as well.
Yay!
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight for a longer, short episode.
We can't do this.
Short in the grand scheme of the universe. It's my fault.
It is. It's
totally my fault. I talk a lot.
But
it's all right.
Really quick, we announced something on our last video about
yes,
getting engaged. I am confirming now that yes, we will be getting married at OzCon.
At OzCon, April 23rd.
That's awesome.
We are going to have a cosplay themed wedding, and it's going to be amazing. And so,
should we say like what the actual theme is?
I mean, we can if you want to.
We're doing a Breakfast Club themed wedding.
So, but it's going to be amazing, and a lot of our geeky friends are there. Here's what's great about this, and this is one of the things why we chose to do it at a con, especially like something like OzCon, which is a smaller con, is we want to help them not only promote, because they do all this for charity, but our wedding guests can help a charity by attending our wedding. So
yes, that's awesome. It's a great con. It'll be an awesome time. I'm looking forward to it, guys.
Yeah.
We'll give you updates as that comes further along. That way you can make sure to put that on your calendar.
And we've already discussed it, we will be live streaming our wedding on GeekyKOOL.com.
That is an awesome thing. So, all right, we will be doing that. And all right, guys, until next week, stay geeky, and we'll see you guys later.